For my eyes, dishonesty would be anything that goes outside the boundaries of the professor's goals for your learning. So it could be for anything as simple as getting help from a classmate when you're not supposed to get help from the classmate, or going online and getting help. But anything that you feel like cheats your academic experience.
The National Science Foundation defines research misconduct as fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism when reporting research results. And so you can see that many of the ideas of academic integrity carry over to the research domain.
In some classes, the instructors make it clear that imported material can be used. That means that if there is code that's publicly available that may be used by anyone, students may use it. That can only be done if the instructor says that's okay. And then when you do it, you need to clearly mark, this is what I imported from somewhere else, this is what I did myself. It's perfectly fine to use any code that's available in the slides for a class or in the supplemental material for a class, or even if you happen to be visiting an instructor's office and they write some code down for you, it's perfectly fine to use that. Just don't go out looking on Google to find things that were done at other universities and turn it in purporting it to be your own work. If you're in doubt as to whether or not the collaboration that you have with other students is academic dishonesty or not, think to yourself, am I doing what I could do all by myself without any help from other students? If it's something I could do all by myself, then that's perfectly fine. If what you're doing is getting too much information from other students that you couldn't have done by yourself, that is now in the area of being academically dishonest.
If you're working on a lab and you know what the answer is supposed to be, but your program doesn't produce it or your measurements don't result in that, but you fudge the results so it looks like that. Or you do a number of trials and you throw out the ones that are way off. That's dishonest as well because you're not accurately presenting what you found.
In the research field, most of the time what you're trying to do doesn't work out. So I say to my students about 80% of the time we're trying things that don't work out. And so if you think that you're going to get great results all the time, you're approaching research in the wrong way, or you're working on something that's too easy. And so I think that sometimes students initially get frustrated by the fact that what they see coming out of research projects are always the positive results, and they don't see the time and effort and hard work that goes into producing those results, and they think when they themselves are experiencing failures of their ideas or the experiments that they're doing, that they should be getting better results. And so I think it's very tempting to just fudge the numbers just a little bit to try to feel better about the results that you're getting, to make your professor happy about the results that you're getting. But what they don't realize is that we learn a lot from the things that don't work out, and it's really important to actually report them honestly.
It's the Purdue way. If you look at the Student Code of Conduct, honesty is stressed, academic integrity is stressed. That's something we do. It's part of the profession. If you look at the Code of Ethics for the professional societies such as ACM or IEEE, or you look at some of the licensing requirements for things such as the CISSP, which is for security professionals, honesty, ethics, and integrity are all central to those and held out as professional values.
There are situations where you get into a group of friends where one friend might want to feed off of you a little bit more than they should be. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is remove yourself from that friend group so that you're not pressured in that way. If something has already happened that goes against the academic policy, I'd recommend speaking privately to your TA or to your professor, but being discreet about it.
If there is academic dishonesty in classes, on exams or homeworks, that causes some people to do better. It devalues your own grade. It presents the instructor with the wrong idea about what's being taught and what people are gaining knowledge of.
Academic dishonesty hurts all students. And the problem is that if you are part of a group and there's something dishonest going on there, then it may very well be that the instructor calls the entire group of you in and says, I can't tell who did what, and so I'm giving all of you a 0. So it's a very good idea in a situation like that to say to the other people, we are getting over into the area where we could get in trouble, we need to stop. Typically, any case of academic dishonesty will result in a minimum of a 0 for that assignment, sometimes even a letter grade deduction. And many faculty members have a policy that if there are multiple cases of this in the semester, it becomes an automatic F.
I think that prevention is a good way. Early prevention for academic integrity is always a key. So before you get yourself in a position where you feel like you need to cheat to pass the class, you need to be looking for help. There are a lot of resources that we have here at Purdue, and a lot of people I know of personally that want to help other people. So find a help room, find your TA, office hours, tutors, anything like that. Do it early before you feel like you need to cheat. The most common one that I witness is if we're, all bunch of us working together on a project in one of the labs late at night, and there might be a group of students huddled around one computer right before a deadline trying to, copy over their code or their assignment or something like that. Or even something as simple as one student gets up to go to the bathroom and another student starts scrolling through their assignment and looking at it.
A student really was working on a long-term research project for multiple years and wrote papers and published them with they defined the algorithm, they did experiments, they reported the results, they had a sequence of 3 or 4 papers that came out, and what turned out in the end was that they had completely fabricated all of the experimental results. And so while the ideas about the basic algorithm and the questions that they were experimenting on were very interesting to the research community, no one could trust at all any of the results in the papers because the experimental results were completely fabricated.
One of the biggest or simplest things I see is student hackathons. So for example, say you're going to a hackathon and you bring material into the hackathon that you've already worked on, and it's against the rules to do that, and you win a prize, and then they find out and take your prize away. The implications of that seems like a simple thing, but the implications of that are huge because all of the corporate sponsors come to the hackathons and they saw that and they know who you are. And I know personally a lot of people, including myself, that have gotten internships and job offers from hackathons. And so something as simple as trying to win a hackathon and bringing in some material you weren't supposed to use could have a big impact because of the people that are watching.
The research community and computer science community is much smaller than you may realize as a student starting out. And the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, the professors in your classes, the professors that you do research with, the students that you work with on these projects are eventually going to be the people who will be hiring you, writing letters of recommendation for you to get into grad school, writing letters of recommendation for you to get jobs, recommending you to their friends to hire you in their companies. And as people start to discover that when you've done something bad, that basically spreads through the social network, and it's not something that you can keep hidden for very long, and it can have long-term repercussions for you and your career no matter what you do in the field of computer science.
Think about all the places computers are used today. They run airplanes, power grids, they run medical devices at hospitals, they keep track of our records at the university, certainly, but at our banks. They run our television systems, our phone systems. They're pretty much everywhere. That's one of the reasons why computer science is such an exciting field, is because computers are showing up everywhere and we're constantly thinking of new ways of using them. You're going to learn new ways of using them here. But now think about what happens if some of those systems that people depend on break unexpectedly. They go wrong. If you're on board an airplane and the computers suddenly go blank. If you're getting health care at the hospital and the machines governing your medications suddenly stops working or delivers an overdose. If you're pulled over because you're speeding and the police computer comes up that you're wanted on felonies in 4 states, none of those are likely to have good outcomes. All of those have happened because of errors in computer software and computer systems. People who are programming things who they didn't understand. That's one of our concerns behind academic integrity in computer science, is we want to be sure that our students that go out know the material well, know what they know, and are not going to misrepresent themselves to anyone else.
I guess my best advice is that you should think of this as really a marathon rather than a sprint. Your education process is going to be a lot of ups and downs, failures and successes, and if you struggle with the failures, those will be the things that really teach you in the long run and really give you a depth of knowledge and understanding to connect different parts of computer science to each other. And so while it may seem tempting to take the shortcuts to get the immediate grade or to not have to study as hard or to get that paper published, in the end you're doing only yourself a disservice by taking the shortcuts, because you're really limiting your own education and your own experience by not taking the harder road to learn the depth of knowledge that would come from those experiences.
When I leave here, I'll get a diploma, but to me that doesn't mean anything unless I earned it. And so I just get a lot more satisfaction from knowing that I came in here and did it all myself, you know, without having to lean on, you know, the work of someone else to cheat my way through. But professionally, it also makes a big difference because people have taken notice of academic integrity in my work and my life and have mentioned it and recommended me for that purpose. So don't think it doesn't show up and it doesn't impress people if you're honest.